Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Suleiman Rahim here. Welcome. Messenger of the Covenant, breaker of the seven seals. Sisters and brothers, I'm going to do something that I've never done before. It's going to take some time, I believe. But I'm going to try to connect all the dots, something I've never done before. Because there are a lot of thieves out there that would love to steal this message as their own. But we're so close to the deadline that it will be nearly impossible for them to do that. As I said, as we're closer to the end, I will make things clearer and clearer. So we're going to start back to the process that began by Dr. Shabazz 8,000 years ago. And we're going to try to go step by step up to the present. Now, I was hit very hard recently, attacked. I didn't fully understand it. As I said previously, the personal scriptures about a prophet or messenger are usually very difficult for even a prophet or messenger to find or understand. And that was one scripture I had my eye on for a long time, about the crucifixion, but I didn't understand it. I looked at it from several angles. I did not understand it. I knew it applied to me somehow. I didn't understand it. Actual crucifixion is a symbolic. What does it mean? Is something I've already went through and didn't understand it, or something I must go through? Because the point I'm trying to make here is that right now, every event that the scriptures talk about, specifically the angel, has already taken place. Every event up to the point of the time of unprecedented, up to the time of the abomination of desolation. In other words, up to the time that Michael goes to war. That's why Muhammad goes to war with the dragon. All events has taken place. There's nothing that's to take place before it happens. Everything has already taken place. That's why it could happen at any minute. The JCPOA, the witnesses, the demon plague, the one that would take place after Elijah Muhammad left, Elijah Muhammad, the 40 years of Elijah Muhammad, the coming of Master Prophet Muhammad, the breaking of the seals. All those things had to take place before Master Prophet Muhammad went to war. Michael went to war with the dragon and his angels. Every event that had to take place before it happened is already done. So there's nothing preventing it. The only thing that's preventing it right now is Master Prophet Muhammad's discretion. Because he says the only hold up right now is that because of the 120,000 that do not know the right hand from the left hand. And he and Suleiman had some disagreement on that point. Because as far as Suleiman was concerned, he didn't want to hold anything back. But as far as he's the God, makes the call. Understand that there's nothing that I know of in prophecy, in angel anywhere, between that was supposed to take place before it happens, that hasn't taken place already. So there's nothing preventing it. There's nothing to look for. There's no signs of anything to look for at this point but that war. That means it could happen anytime, at any minute. And we see the clouds of gathering right now. We see that. We see the clouds and everything are gathering. We see the war. We see all the characters that I've been telling you about. They're coming together for war. That's very important. But the one thing said they've taken place, but the one thing that I was looking at was that crucifixion thing. What is it? How does that figure in? And then I was hit a few weeks ago. I came near death. I was literally hours away from death. I saw my death. I saw I had no power. I had lost all energy. I saw death. And I called out to the God, Eli, Eli, Eli. As the scripture says, they thought he was talking to Elijah, but Eli means my God. I called out to my God because I had no power. I saw death. There was nothing I could do. My wife can tell you, I saw death. I knew my death was really hours, if not minutes away. That's how bad it was. That's how hard they hit me. And then that's when I understood the scripture. And that was the last event that would take place just before the Prophet Muhammad goes to war. So I knew there was nothing standing in the way from that point on. Understand that, brothers and sisters, there's nothing standing in the way. This could happen at any moment. And I expect it to happen very soon. Very soon. So what I'm going to do, again, is walk through this process slowly and try to be clearly, because I said I'm having issues with my voice. So I'm going to try to be as clear as possible. I've been talking about this the last couple of days, but I'm going to try to hang it all together. The dawn of the gods. The dawn of the gods. So I'm going to put everything into perspective. So again, we're going to start back to the process that Dr. Shabazz initiated 50,000 years ago. See, at that time, the tribe of Shabazz, it was a warrior tribe, the supreme tribe, but it was made of gods and angels. The gods were the supreme being, the scientists. And when you're talking about genetics and genes, they had the dominant genes. What are the dominant genes? That's what you see in us today. What you refer to as nappy hair and darker features. See? Those were the dominant genes. Those genes are more dominant than any other genes there are. And they're possessed by God and the scientists. It's the top echelon of our tribe. They possess those genes. They were the best. The rest were the angels. They look more like the Somalis do, or the Egyptians, or the Ethiopians look today. Like Elijah Muhammad said, they had more of a curly, straight hair, right? And he had more of a golden type feature, lighter feature, right? That's what the angels look like. So it's the gods and the angels. We were angels back then. That's where it gets into Genesis, where it says, let us make man in our likeness, in our image. Because that was the Dr. Shabazz's idea, to convert all of us into gods. No more angels, all of us into gods. And that would be the final stage. But he knew it was a 50,000-year process to achieve that. Because we were going into a period of energy deprivation where we would suffer one way or the other. So he says, why not take advantage of it? We're going to suffer energy deprivation. Either way, there was no way around it. Why not take it head on? The other tribes did not want to take it head on. They felt that they could do as we see Master Muhammad taking on Dr. Yaqub's body, so they would not suffer. That's why you see the so-called Arabs, a lot of them are white, because they took on Dr. Yaqub's body, so they would not suffer energy deprivation. See? But they lost some of their genetic power because now they have recessive genes instead of dominant genes. They're still original. Some of them are demons now. But that was their method. That was not Dr. Shabazz. Dr. Shabazz says, no, we're not going to avoid energy deprivation. We're going to take it head on. We're not going to convert to be more like the Arabs that their plan was, right? Just to be continue to be angels. No, our nation is going to raise them up from angels to gods. And he knew that would be a very, very hard process, and that most of us would not make it. He knew most of us would not make it. It'd be a very powerful, powerful effort, but most of us would not make it. It says many went out, only a few returned. We told an angel only 144,000 out of millions. It's 17 million now, but we lost more than that just in the slave trade. But millions went out, but only a few will return. A remnant, as they say in Daniel, that little stone is going to crush all the nations. But you had to go through the whole process. You had to remain resolute through the whole process to achieve what Dr. Shabazz had designed for us. To fulfill that process, to reap that reward, which would be the promised land. The promised land is not just a land we're going to, it's a whole new concept, it's a whole new reality. It says we'll be transformed in the twinkling of an eye. We will not be like we are right now. I know it's hard for you to understand, but when it tells you you're going to be transformed in the twinkling of an eye, what are you going to be transformed into? It says we do not know yet what we will be, but we know we will be like him. Who is the him? So that means we won't be like we are right now. Like sperm. Sperm, right? Once it hits an egg, it's no longer sperm anymore. It's something different. It moves on to a new creation. So I'm not going to dwell on that, because if I do that, we'll be here all day, because I have a lot to talk about. So we move forward. So some of you know about Dr. Yakub. Now, Dr. Shabazz, he was a god. He was the god of the tribe of Shabazz. He's like Master Prophet Muhammad is the god now. Dr. Shabazz was the god. He made the decision, and we as a tribe followed that decision. Some disagreed and blended into the other African nations and things like that there. But for the most part, most people, most of the tribe stuck with Dr. Shabazz. Okay, let's move forward to Master Prophet Muhammad. Now, we have the birth of a nation, because it tells us that this would end in the birth of our nation. So in other words, this process would end in the final birth of the nation. Because when the birth means that the whole process is complete and the nation comes, that Dr. Shabazz vision comes forth. Pure gold, because it says will be tried in the furnace of affliction. So that process is certified. Suleiman certifies that you're pure gold. The furnace is shut down, the gold is removed, or the gold is removed first, then the furnace is shut down. That's the end of the process. The end of the process is when the nation is born. That's the end of the process. So, before you can be birthed, you have to go through the womb. And that's the story of Mary and Joseph and David and Suleiman, right? That's the story. It says, you have to understand the story. It says that Mary was a virgin, but she was not impregnated by Joseph, her husband. She was impregnated by the Spirit that gave birth to a son. And that's the same story about David and Sheba. That's Sheba. What it means is America is Eve. America is Mary. It's a virgin nation, a virgin country. And then the original people were brought over here, as the angel tell you, they're the spirits of the God. That's why I said Mary was covered by the Spirit. They're the spirits of the God. And the Spirit impregnated Mary, and she bore forth a son. And the Spirit that impregnated Mary was David. And David's son was Suleiman. David is Master from Muhammad. So that was telling you is that Master from Muhammad, when he appeared, he impregnated this nation. He started the womb process. He began that process of us being in the womb. It says he impregnated, and then he would bring forth a son that would be Suleiman. That's what that's talking about, brothers and sisters. So that began the womb process, the impregnation by Master Muhammad's appearance. That began that process. So he told us about the Abrahamic covenant. We're in the womb, right? We're about to give birth to a nation. As he was talking about, he's telling nation, right? Elijah Muhammad about nation, he's talking about nation building. So he started the womb process of nation building. And he raised up the Levites to begin the process. Because they would, in his absence, they was the one that was going to continue this process under Elijah Muhammad, a Levite. So this went on for about 40 years. And the I under Elijah Muhammad, the NOI, right, was given an example because they were supposed to prepare Lazarus, right? Because that's the birth of the nation. See, Elijah gave birth to the Levites, that nation, but it says the ultimate result was the birth of the original birth of the seed of Abraham, that nation. Shabazz. See, Levites are not of the tribe of Shabazz. They're grafted into our nation, but they're not of the tribe of Shabazz. See, the tribe of Shabazz, that was a nation that was to complete the process. And they were supposed, they're a priest tribe, they were supposed to take and maintain that effort in Elijah Muhammad's absence to bring that about. To guide that process, to keep us safe and secure in the womb. So we not be corrupted or deformed in any way, to keep us quiet and calm in that womb, and give us an example of what we're supposed to be doing. Because Elijah Muhammad, he came and told you what you're supposed to be doing while you're in the womb. And he gave us an example. His example, the Levites, that nation. And that provided that example, and that was what we're supposed to be doing. And that's what the example Elijah Muhammad gave, and the example that he left behind. And the Levites were supposed to maintain that example. They were supposed to maintain that process. But it shook the nations because we were told, the nations were told, everyone had us as ignorant, stupid clowns. We could not govern ourselves. We could never be a nation. That was on purpose because all the nations are against us to destroy us. We are the object of the Armageddon. We don't understand it. All the nations are there to destroy us in the womb, to abort us, to stillborn, whatever, destroy us. Because they reneged, they don't want to fulfill the agreement they made 50,000 years ago. So we will be born in a hostile environment. Okay, so now we just talked about Elijah and the Levites, what they were supposed to do. But the demons got into the womb. They got into the womb. The chief demon, the chief demon, Farrakhan, they got into the womb. And started trouble. Because at that point, we were not suffering energy deprivation anymore. We suffer self-imposed energy deprivation inspired by the demons because we're supposed to stay resolute, focused on nation building. And we were to some extent because we at that point, at some point in time, before the demons got involved, we wanted to get the hell out of here. We wanted to get the hell away from Massa. We wanted to get off the plantation. We wanted to get the hell out of here. People like Marcus Garvey and people like that came along and Noble Drew Ali, get the hell out of here. That was the common, not the demons, but the original people. That was a common idea of us getting it. A lot of black folks left. They went to Liberia and everything. They wanted to get the hell away from here. And they had destroyed that idea. They had to destroy that idea. And that's what Farrakhan and the demons were supposed to do. And that's what they did. They came and they aborted the Levite nation. They aborted it. They had to get rid of that because that was a symbol, a sign to us of what was an example of what we were supposed to be doing. And we would have been doing that. Thinking nation. See? Thinking getting out of here. We would have been doing that. And some of us are, the 144,000, they're still doing it. But most of us are not doing it anymore because the demons got in and now they have you focusing on other things. Because in the womb, the whole purpose of the womb is to get you to focus 100% on self-recreation, self-development, nation. That's the whole purpose of the womb, to keep everything out so you can focus totally on that. That's the purpose of the womb. And the demons got in, and they've been full-time for the last, since Elijah left. Getting you to focus on anything else but that, because they causing you to come forth deformed. They cause you to come forth deformed. Because you're not focusing 100% on self-development, using all the energy to develop yourself, right? And your nation. Your energy being used now for party playing, Jay-Z, Michael Jackson, the West, and all this other BS. They got you doing drugs, smoking, drinking, partying. That's how you're spending your energy. You have very few black folks spending energy on nation building, on self-development, because the demons in there telling you don't need that. And plus, they're telling you you can't build a nation anyway because we're not going anywhere. That's the whole idea. You're not going anywhere. So there's no need to build a nation. That was Walsh's thing. We don't need any of this stuff. They got rid of all of it. You don't understand what they're doing, brothers and sisters. This is a full attack. And you around here playing games because you don't understand. You're being distracted and use your energy for other than self, other than nation. So therefore, you're destroying yourself. You're coming forth deformed. Because they're breaking your will. Your will, you is resolute about getting away from these devils. When so-called civil war was over, you wanted to get away from these devils as fast as you could. You wanted, even doing so-called slavery, you wanted to get away from it. You was resolute, but now you're not resolute anymore. They're breaking your will. They told you not going anywhere. There's no other option. So now you serving massa. You're not resolute about going anywhere. Some of you are not even thinking about going anywhere. It's not even your imagination anymore. And the Abrahamic covenant is not being taught at all. You don't have a choice. You have to stay here in America. Your fate is with America. That's what Farrakhan, all of them are telling you, because they're destroying your resolution, destroying your will. Because once they do that, that's the destruction of your vision. Then it's easy to destroy you. Because you're already destroyed. They just have to put you out of your misery. That's the whole point of it. For the last 40-some years, that's been their major target. setting up false Israel over there, underscore it that, hey, that's not you, that's them. They're the true seed of Abraham. But take that out, even if it comes into your mind, it takes it, oh no, here. So they close all doors to your vision, destroy your resolution, destroy your whole idea of nation building, destroy it, and it has been destroyed for the most part amongst our people. Most of our people are going to come forth deformed because their energy is not being applied to that which Master Muhammad set up and Elijah Muhammad nursed. Because of Farrakhan, that's his job, to destroy it. And so for the last 40 some years, we've been running, it says in Exodus, we've been walking around in circles, wandering around in the wilderness, wasting our energy. Some of us want to go back to Egypt. But it had a double purpose. Because some of us, we're so deformed and we're so acclimated to Master's ways that we could never make it into the hereafter anyway. So the wandering around in the wilderness is to burn them off. It tells you in Exodus, but that was part of wandering around in the wilderness with Farrakhan, with Aaron, to get rid of all those old folks. Those folks that could not adapt. They were so bound up in the Master's reality, they couldn't break away from it. They just could not see their way of breaking away from it. They lost in jobs, mortgage, I mean, the whole idea, because they thought they had no other choice. And you can understand that. If you think the only choice is America, that's the only choice there is, right? Then you're going to try to make the best of it. And some of them got caught up in that and they try to make the best of that. They can't cut loose. It says your heart is where your treasure is. So their treasures in America. They got mortgages, they got property, they got all these different things. They can't walk away from that. They don't know how to. So they're distracted. They're caught up in the gravitational vortex. They can't break free. And that's part of the wandering around the wilderness to burn those off. To get rid of them. But they could not make it into the new reality. So that was one of the sides of that process of wandering around in the wilderness for 40 some years. Because they could not make the adjustment. I mean, they're the seed of Abraham, but they've been corrupted, so much corrupted. Like I said, you have those that are deformed. They're deformed socially or mentally. They're deformed because they put their energy into that. So now that's where their heart is. So they're stuck into where they put their energy. They did not focus their energy on building a nation, on nation building, on building self. They put into Master's vision. So now they're stuck in Master's vision and they can't let go. Allah would lift you up, but you cling to the earth. They can't let go to that. They can't let go of it. And they come around you and they can recognize what you're saying, some of them. All of them not in the... And they want, and they'll hang around you, but they just can't let go. Eventually, right? That's why you gotta shake that tree constantly, because they can't hold on. They act like they're holding on, but they can't hold on. Because eventually they're gonna fall away. And a true believer, you could not shake a true believer away from the messenger under the threat of death. You cannot do it. It's like a person that knows there's going to be a flood. There's no way in the world you're going to get them off that ark. There's no way that's going to happen. Unless there's no, they can't hold on to it. So that's part of the reason why for 40 years of walking around in the wilderness with Aaron and Farrakhan. The demons. Because they got into the womb. They created havoc, cancer, and everything else. They send you role models. Oh, this is This is what you roll mouths. This is what you need to do. We need to do politics. We need to make the devils. They're gonna get better. We're gonna be good Americans. All this stuff, and let's party, let's hang out. You see, anything, and you start talking nation, but are you crazy, man? You one of them dumb niggas. They put you down. They put you down because they think you're stupid. They think you're stupid. They put you down. Are you racist? You need to be open-minded. All this BS they tell you because they don't want you to think nation building. They don't want you to think that. But their whole idea is to get you distracted, get you to focus your energy on everything else but that. And about developing self. How you to live. Get out of here. How you to live. The chitlins are great. It's self-destruction in every way. That's what they're telling you. That's their whole purpose. That's the purpose of the demons and these preachers. Oh, these preachers, we're going to take care of them, every one of them. So we've covered quite a few things, and we still have quite a few things to cover, brothers and sisters. I'm going to try to take my time. I'm not going into great detail about everything, but I'm trying to connect the dots to get you to understand what's going on, the true nature of what's going on, so you understand the scriptures when you read it. So then we'll come after the 40-some years, right? We'll end up into the point where with 2020, where the end of our servitude ends and the plague starts. And during that period, all the rest events take place, right? The JCPOA, that situation, right? Crucifixion I told you about, right? All the drama about all the nations preparing for war, Russia and China, all that stuff. So there's nothing to stop. There's no vent left between now and the time Master Muhammad pulls the plug on false Israel. There's nothing in between. It can take place any minute. Okay? All the events that precede that has already taken place. So now we talked about the past. Now we're starting to talk about the future. The war between Michael and his angels. Michael and his angels against the dragon and his angels. That's what's about to take place. That leads to the abomination of desolation. That leads into the war with the demons. With Joshua, all of Aaron's followers. See, all these things happen almost simultaneously because that is the point of the birth of the nation. That's when, see, what we're talking about right now, once Michael goes to war, that is where the water breaks. Michael goes to war with the dragon, that's when the water breaks. The birth is in process. The water breaks. It says, will a nation be born in a day? There's nothing like it. A nation be born in a day. It's going to happen suddenly, but it's going to happen in unprecedented times and unprecedented trouble. It says his birth will come forth in a time of unprecedented trouble. That means you have to be prepared because that's what Suleiman was doing, preparing you. So when you come forth from the womb, you're prepared for the environment that you're going to be confronted with. And that's why messengers and prophets are sent every time a nation is to be born to prepare you for life outside the womb. It's prophesied and tell you what to expect, so you know how to prepare yourself while you're in the womb. Should you be prepared for war? Make yourself stronger, or make yourself wiser? How should you be preparing yourself while you're in the womb? Because you develop yourself. And the womb, right? So the prophet meant tell you how, in what direction, right? What quality, what form you need to take to develop yourself, to prepare for life outside the womb. Because that's what the egg does. The egg, I'm not going into detail, I already did that before, right? But the egg itself, the sperm is your nature, but the egg is preparing you for life outside the womb, because that's the nature of the mother. Because the egg represents the mother, represents her experience. It's a cell, it's one of her cells. So it experiences everything that she's experiencing, right? And so therefore, that egg prepares you for life outside the womb, because it lets you know what life outside the womb is like, because her egg, that cell is a part of her, and she is represent, and that reflects her experiences and everything, right, outside the womb. And that's the purpose of the message of the prophet, to give you, to tell you, expect, tell you exactly what it's going to be like. So when you come outside the womb, you're prepared for whatever the environment is like when you come forth outside, when you come forth from the womb, when you're giving birth. And that's what Suleiman is supposed to do. That's what the Levites were supposed to help them do, right? They prepare you so when you come forth, you be prepared for whatever environment that you be exposed to outside the womb. And since the time outside the womb is a time of unprecedented trouble, that means, and what unprecedented how? Because all the nations are going to be at war with you. So you have to be prepared. You have to come out that womb prepared for battle. That's why it says 145,000, they came out prepared for battle, because they prepared themselves. And you're not doing that. You're not prepared for anything, because they got you. Oh, you can have my daughter. You can have more money. You can have this. You can have credit. You can have this car. You can have this job. You can do whatever you want, because they got you distracted. And so you're not prepared for life outside the womb. So when you come out, you're confused, and you'll come out into a world of unprecedented trouble, right? And war, and total war itself, and you're not prepared for any of that. That's why you got to flee and all these different things you got to do, because you're not prepared. Because if you was prepared, and you was prepared as a nation, then you would have to do all of that. And Suleiman was, that's the whole idea. The Levites was supposed to prepare you, and then Suleiman, when he came along, all he's supposed to do is bring you forth and lead you. But he has to take and single-handedly almost prepare you himself, because you're not going to come forth ready for battle. He said only 145,000 are going to come forth prepared for battle. So Michael goes to war. Then you have the abomination of desolation. That's going to shock the world. Shock the world. Because now the masks pull off, all the nations' masks pull off. Because they're all back in that lie. The Sunnis are back in that lie, because they know it's a lie over there. They know that's a lie. But it serves their purpose, because if they're masquerading as the true seed of Abraham, that means that's not you. That means you have no claim to Arabia. See? They know you had a legal claim. Also, Israel knows you have a legal, not to land, but to be in the true seed of Abraham. See, all these people are against you. They're working together, even when it's uneasy. But the bottom line is they're working together against you. Even if it's uncomfortable for them, they're working together against you, because they don't want you to come back, because they know you're coming back as gods. The abomination of desolation. See? That's when the water breaks and the nations is coming forth in a day. That's why it says suddenly when you see that flee. That's why I tell you today, because all this will happen so fast. Nations will come together in a day. Those black folks will come together immediately. That's why it says a nation will come forth in a day. The birth of a nation will come forth in a day. All black folks are coming together. Okay? So all these things will happen virtually simultaneously, because once they come together, even the demons, all black, because they're going to attack all black people. So once they come together, then we're going to cast out all the demons. We're going to cast them all out. And then Suleiman's going to go and he's going to clean up the inner eye and prepare them, right, for the tribulation, because they failed. And so they got to go back into incubator because they didn't finish their reproductive cycle. So now they have to go into incubator. That's what the tribulation is. It's like a second chance, like a makeup exam. And not only them, but most of our people are going to incubator too, because they were not prepared. This is only 145,000. They're going to be a great army. They can be prepared because they're coming forth out of womb into a time of unprecedented trouble, ready for battle. Because that's the time of unprecedented trouble. They're coming after you, and only 144,000 will be prepared for battle because they didn't prepare overnight. This was preparation that's been taken for 30 years. They're paying attention to me even though you're not, and they're going to be ready. It says, Suleiman, do not be worried, because your people will be ready when you are ready. Your people will be ready when you are ready. But what people they talk about? He's not talking about all the black folks, because he said many will be lost for lack of knowledge. He's talking about the 145,000. They will be ready when he's ready. But the water broken now is the birth. And that's when they have full attack. That's the abortion process. Because they're going to attack you. Because once the abomination is taken down, abomination of desolation, mass from pulls a plug, and it's clear that we are the true seed of Abraham, they're going to attack abortion, destroy the nation. It's destroy it. And many of you will be destroyed in the process. Because when you come forth out of the womb, you're going to come forth deformed, you'll come forth confused. Because you didn't apply your energy to learning, to understanding what yourself, a thorough knowledge of yourself, right? So you had no idea what was going on because you had Jay-Z and Denzel and West on your mind, because you wasn't studying the angel, you wasn't studying anything. So you have no idea what's going on. And some of you might make it because you heard about the abomination of desolation, you know the flu, but most of you not even know the flu. You have no idea. You'll be born deformed, mentally confused, because you didn't apply your energy to nation building and doing as Elijah Muhammad taught you, because he was set example. He warned you. This is what you need to be doing because you're in the womb. And then the demons came in behind them. And it took away many of you. As it said in Mark, the demons had you beating yourself. Self-destructive. So at that point, right, the nation is born, right? But let me back up for a minute. As the war is happening, before victory or defeat, the war is going, that's when Suleiman will clean out the inner eye. It will clean out those demons. It will kick them out. That's what says the Ancient of Days did sit. He will clean them out during that process. Because there's already eternal strife in the Nation of Islam right now. And then once they see the war, because a lot of them are waiting for that, that's a sign for them. It's going to be an eternal coup, if you will. They're already telling you Farrakhan's on his deathbed. They're saying if he makes it to his so-called savior, that'll be his last public appearance. They're telling you he's on his deathbed, so he's not going to do all this annoying crap he's going to be doing. He's on his deathbed. But he's not going to die before we get hold of him. He's not going to die before we get hold of him. It's not going to be that easy for him. So at that point, that's when the Nation of Islam is cleaned out. Just before the war, before Master Muhammad and his angels are victorious. See? So then, at that point, you will see Suleiman setting in Elijah's seat, in control of the NOI, preparing them, right, for the incubator incubator, which is the tribulation period, because they failed, because they allowed themselves to be deceived by lying Farrakhan when they were supposed to be. And the blood is on their hands because a lot of our people was lost because they weren't there to get the knowledge that they needed. They were deceived by. But now, that's the Ancient of Days, the thrones are cast down. That's that situation. We're talking future now. So this happens during the time of the war, just before abomination of desolation is taken out. Then abomination of desolation is taken out. Once it's taken down, that's when the mask comes off and the baby is born. Right now, when the war starts, the water breaks. But once the war is over, that's the birth. And that's when they pull the mask off and they come to abort you, destroy you. And many will be caught up. That's what it says, flee. You have no time. It's flee. That's the birth of a nation. Whole nations come together. And then we have the birth of a nation. I don't know all about how birth works. I'm just saying a couple of things. If I say it wrong, sisters don't get angry with me. But you got the afterbirth. The afterbirth is the demons. That's when they're separated. The biblical cord is cut. So finally, all the demons are free of all the demons, the original nation. See? But that's the judgment. Now, we're not going to judge. I already told you, I'm not judging the sisters. The demon sisters, that's another story. But I'm not judging the sisters. I already talked about that. But the thing is that that's the judgment, because the judgment will take place here in America on you brothers. Are you part 144,000? Are you ready for war? Are you for battle? Do you have to go through? Do you have to be back in incubator because you wasn't completely formed? In other words, you got some deformation. That's where that judgment will be determined, and then 144,000 will be taken out. They'll be your protection for a minute, but then they'll be taken out on their fortress on the wheel. They will hear the faintest sounds of raging roarings of hell. That's tribulation period. They will hear the faintest sounds of it, but you will. The Levites will, and they will have. They would say the Levites. They be struggling with these beasts from one end of the country to another, traveling, trying to get out of here. And at that point, all those black folks, original people, that's the Levites, is going to be doing their job. What they should have did when Farrakhan was around is to educate you, to try to bring you back up to speed, because now you're in an incubator, right? You give it a little extra time, right, to get yourself in proper form. Prepare yourself for battle, for the times, because we're still in the times. This time Armageddon, and you still have to be prepared for battle, because we'll still be battle. It says even we get the promise, it still be battle, it still be war, and you have to prepare for this whole process of preparing for war. So in other words, if you wasn't prepared for war before the abomination of desolation, then you got the incubator period to prepare for war, because that's what you will be doing, because you'll be under intense pressure, you'll be under intense war in the tribulation period, because they will be chasing you from one country to another, one part of the country from another, trying to destroy you. So now you got that to get your act together and to become soldiers, prepare you for the environment that you're in, because it's the time of unprecedented trouble, and that's the time you have to be prepared for. And those that prepared, those will survive. If you're not prepared, you're going to be killed. You're going to catch a stroke cut. Mass help, because it's wartime. I keep telling you we're at war, but you're not prepared for war. So you're going to get a little extra incubation period to get prepared for battle. Because the world is going to be at battle. It says the final battle will be between those 10 kings and the Lamb. That's the final battle. That's the 200 million man army, right? That we're going to have to fight against. We have to, it says they will make war with the Lamb, but the Lamb will overcome them. That means that's a war. And you have to be prepared for that war to destroy them. It says that's the rock, the stone that will destroy all the nations. That means you have to be part of that process. That's the environment you have to be in, and you was prepared for that environment, so you get that little incubation period to get you prepared, to get you up to speed, to turn you into a warrior. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. So I'm not sure if I'm going any further than that, because I covered a lot of stuff here. And I'm not sure how long I was talking. It's not about time, right? But I think I covered everything. I covered the past, the present, and the future. Try to get you to understand this entire process. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, see, the thing is that you have to be prepared for the environment, but you also have to have thorough knowledge of yourself. You have to be prepared, right? You have to have moved up, upgraded from angel to God's, because you have to be God's entering back to the promised land. And you will not enter the promised land, you have thorough knowledge of yourself. And when you enter, you will not enter as you are right now. It will be God's. It will be transformed in a twinkle of an eye. That means you won't be like you are right now. You'll be a whole new creature. Because we constantly change as time moves on into the future. So you can't return. It says you will not return to have thorough knowledge of yourself. You return as God's. Only the gods will return. If you can't, you will not return if you're anything less than that. That's why it tells you, it says, even the least will be greater than Elijah Muhammad. Elijah Muhammad was the God, right? But so you would have to be greater, the least would have to be greater than Elijah Muhammad. That means you had to be God's, because he wasn't a God. You had to be God, a God. You had to work greater than that. That means that's incubation period gives you time enough to get you up to speed, but you had to be a God to return. Because that was the end result of Dr. Shabaz's process, to return us back home as gods. We left out as gods and angels, we return as gods. The dawn of the gods. That's the whole purpose of Dr. Shabaz's process. Return us back home as gods. In a new form, we transform in a twinkle of an eye. Like a sperm is one form, and once it enters egg, it becomes another form of life. You become a new form of life when you enter into the promised land. Once we get there, because it says you'll be changed in a twinkle. Changed to what? In a twinkle of an eye. Brothers and sisters, I hope you understand. I hope my voice comes clear. But this is very, very, very important. I'm trying to put all the things together so you understand what's going on. Do not be deceived. All those people that heard the truth and did nothing, there's no second chances. The scriptures tell you there's no second chances, because it's like crucifying Jesus twice. You come through, you walk away, you don't come back. There's no coming back for you. No second chances. But this is a critical time. And these things we're moving fast, quick, because Master Muhammad is moving quick. Once he makes his move, everything will move quickly. And I'm keeping up with him. So you know to keep up with me, because you know I'm keeping up with him. And the only way your name will be in the Lamb's Book of Life is be pure gold of God. He has to certify you. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I think I've covered pretty much everything. Hope I have. Hope my voice was clear enough in this situation. So I'm going to leave it there. If I miss anything, we'll do a redux to it, because I feel my voice fading anyway. I think I better stop right here. Let me think for a second. Is there anything I might have missed here? The dawn of the gods. A new world. Master Muhammad is going to make all things new. All the former things will pass away. The dawn of the gods will be totally new. It says you cannot imagine what you will be or how you'll be when you're hereafter. And you have no idea. You don't understand you're going to be transformed. That didn't even come to your mind. See, the Christians think, oh, they're going to have this new glorious body. They're going to be the spirit. No, you're going to be a human being. You're going to be a superior human being on God's status, perfect in every way, fully energized, living as long as you want to live. Oh, that's one thing I want to mention quickly. So you hear these people telling you, oh, well, you have no control of anything. That's bullshit. That's not what Elijah Muhammad taught. That's not the truth. You have total control because you transform energy from one form to another. You transform energy from one form. So what you are, the state you are, who you are, is because of your transformation process. If you was transforming energy into partying and hanging out, then right now, you got memories of partying, hanging out, but you don't know shit. But if you was transforming energy into being an engineer or a doctor, now you're engineer or doctor. You cause that to happen. No mystery God. You have total control. So if you will make to the hereafter, that's the promise, and that's what they mean. They say the hereafter is the promise. Then you have to give 100% energy to make that transformation. Otherwise, you're not going to get there. You have to do it in a certain period of time because Master Muhammad is not waiting on anyone, and I'm not waiting on anyone either. You understand? You get what you pay for, so to speak. You reap what you sow. So you are forming your future. You have formed your present. You formed it. Where you are right now in life is because you formed that yourself, because that's how you applied your energy. So how you going into the future is how you apply your energy. So don't let these fools tell you, oh, everything is done by God's will and all this kind of stuff. That's all bullshit. It's a lie. Elijah Muhammad never taught any stupid crap like that, right? You control your destiny. How you transform energy from one form to another. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum.